DreAllDay.com.
You're now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, especially yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. Then we put all this together into one framework, one bundle, one package, one mindset, one philosophy, one book, several books, daily masterclass, over 2,000 episodes here called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic, no one is above critique. No one is above criticism. No one is above being held accountable. It doesn't mean anyone should be offering the critique, criticism, or accountability, but no one is immune to these things. And I'm gonna get into explaining what I mean as we get into our topics here today. Now, before I get to that, let me remind everybody, I have a text message line. I want you to text me and tell me the most valuable idea, the best insight, the best quote that you got from today's class. My number is 305-384-6894. Once you text me there, you'll be able to engage with me because I spend time every day going through my texts, responding to my people who are texting me. And every morning I send out a daily motivation text message that will go straight to you, straight to your phone, straight from me, from that number every single day. So if you just want to get my daily motivation text, just send me a hello, quick hello right now to that number. Again, it's 305-384-6894, and you'll be getting my daily motivation text. And of course, at any point when the need hits you, the urge hits you, you can text me and ask me a question, share a challenge, whatever. So all that said, today's topic, why am I talking about this, that nobody is above critique? Because I have sensed that these days so many people are so overly sensitive. Everybody is so overly sensitive, not only sensitive to maybe being critiqued or being attacked or being called out or called forward by anybody these days. At the same time, people are also very sensitive to doing it to another person because you may have a little bit of anxiety or a little bit of fear that if you do call somebody out, if you do point out someone's shortcoming, or you do offer someone what you consider to be constructive criticism, they may take it the wrong way and think that, or label you that, oh, you're just hating, or you're just being negative, or they may just react in some irate fashion. Or if this person happens to be a public figure, maybe some of their followers and their supporters might get mad at you and attack you for having the audacity of offering some type of challenge or any type of critique towards a person that maybe their audience feels this person is just above reproach. This person is above critique. You can't possibly critique this person. Or maybe you can't critique a person because they're female. You can't critique them because of their race. Or you can't critique them because of your gender or your race or something that you did in the past that people want to hold over your head every time you say anything about anybody. I found that this sensitivity is permeating our society in so many different ways that everybody's so overly sensitive that no one can criticize anybody. I'm being sarcastic when I say that, but some people take any type of critique as quote unquote hate. And then if you say somebody's hating on you, then you could just brush it off, or they're just a hater. So whatever they said is not worthy of attention, but you may be costing yourself the most valuable criticism that could do you some good because you prefer the praise from a bunch of clowns who don't even know anything, who are telling you how great you are. Now, some criticism is indeed not worth it. Some criticism you don't need to listen to. And some people, you know what? They are haters. And some people are offering you critique and what they consider to be constructive feedback. And you know what? You're right. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. However, there are some people who are qualified to criticize you. There is some criticism that actually would help you out if you would shut up and listen. And that's what we're going to talk about here today. Point number one. The topic, once again, is nobody is above critique. In the media, from what I see, there are some reporters, and I use the term loosely because they're not really reporters anymore. They're kind of like, I don't even know what to call these people. They're like PR flacks is what they are now. But some people who call themselves reporters and journalists, but actually are not, they refuse to critique certain groups. They refuse to critique certain ideas because they are on the side of these groups and people and ideas. Now, if you call yourself a journalist, you call yourself a reporter, your job is to share the truth. Your job is to share what happened. If you want to call it news, your job is to share objective truth of what happened, and wherever that truth may lead, that's where you're supposed to go. That is your job as the person who is being entrusted as the one who's going to give the information to the masses. But if you have picked a side Whether that side means you have picked a side in terms of an ideology, in terms of a political party, in terms of an opinion on a certain topic, in terms of favoring a certain person or disfavoring a certain person. If you're doing that, then you are no longer a journalist. You are no longer a reporter. At that point, again, you're public relations, meaning you work for a certain side or a certain idea or a certain ideology, and your job is to say whatever you can say to try to make that side look good or make the other side look bad. It's cool if that's what you want to do. That is an industry in itself. But don't tell me that you're the objective person when you're not being objective, when you're being subjective. Don't tell me that you're the person who's going to tell me the truth when all you're telling me is one side of a story, or you're telling me the version that makes a certain idea look good and makes a certain other idea or person look bad. This is what's happening a lot these days, and why I told you in episode 1474 to stop watching the news. And when I say the news, I don't necessarily mean like Channel 6 or ABC or CNN. When I say the news, I mean stop listening to people who are calling themselves journalists and reporters, because this is exactly what's happening. They're not even giving you objective information anymore, because nobody wants to critique something that they agree with, and no one wants to say anything positive or even neutral about something that they disagree with. To the point that, again, now you got to do your own research to get your own information, which I told you about in the episode on doing your homework. And if you didn't hear that episode, let me make sure I'm giving you that number so you know where to go listen to it yourself. That was episode 1925. Do your homework to where you don't have to trust or blindly trust somebody who clearly isn't doing the job that they signed up for. So it's almost become uniform these days with many outlets and even people. There are certain people who will never criticize certain other people, or they won't ever criticize a certain idea, or they will never offer anything objective about other ideas or people or groups simply because they decided they're either for or against them, respectively. There are certain companies, their whole network, nothing they put out is going to say anything positive about certain people and certain groups, because that's the side that they've chosen, and others who've done the exact opposite. So it's become so uniform that, again, the challenge is, because we all lose, us as consumers, all of us lose, because now we can't even agree on what's objectively true. We can't even agree on facts anymore. We can't even agree, hey, you know what, objectively looking at this, yes, I like this person, but this part of what they did wasn't cool. All right, I don't like this person, but this part of what they did was actually good. We can't even have those conversations anymore because we become so divided, and everybody, again, is so sensitive when it comes to sharing certain things about groups that they have either decided to be for or against, no matter what. It's become very uniform in that way. So we now know what side or slant we're going to get if we listen to this TV show, and we know what we're going to get if we listen to this person over here, and they're no longer doing their jobs. Nowadays, we get more virtue signaling than we get actually serving. These people's job is supposed to be to serve us. The original reason that the media was created was to hold government in check. That's the reason that the media was created. They would watch what the government did, and then they would objectively report on what the government did, so that the people, us, the employers of the government, if those of you who probably, the world is so warped today that you probably don't even know this, but the people who work in government work for us. They are our employees. We have employed them. We pay them with our tax dollars, and we gave them their jobs with our votes. So when they do something that we don't like, the media's job is to report on that and let us know about it, so that we can say, hey, Mr. Politician, we gave you your job, and if you keep doing things that we don't like, we are going to take your job away by voting you out in the next election. That's how the process was supposed to work. It's supposed to be that simple. Do we have that these days? Some of you probably never even knew that I just explained to you. That's why the media exists. The media did not just come out of, the media did not just appear out of nowhere just as a reason to get people all hyped and anxious and fearful about a snowstorm or about a virus or about some war that's going on. The reason the media came out is to hold the government in check. That's it. And to report to us, we the people, what they were doing. That's it. Are they doing that these days? I think we can all agree they're absolutely not. No matter what side you're on of any conversation, they are no longer doing their job. They're all virtue signaling, and they're not helping the public, because they will either leave out useful material that could inform us, or they will put in extra material that is not informing us simply because they disagree with a certain perspective. They're not even helping themselves by not having the gall or the nuts or the internal fortitude as an entity. I'm talking about just the whole companies to offer any type of criticism to something that they agree with, or offer anything positive about something that they choose to disagree with, to the point that nobody even knows what to trust anymore. And this is what has further created a lot of a divide with all of us. Moving on to point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is no one is above critique. You cannot coach what you can't criticize. And when I say coach, what I mean is to improve something. You can't improve another person if that person won't accept your criticism. You can't improve yourself if you can't look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, there's some areas here where I need to improve. Anything that cannot be criticized can't be coached. The definition of a critique is a detailed analysis and assessment of something. That's it. All you're doing is analyzing and giving your assessment of a thing, person, place, or thing. Now, since none of us, being human, is perfect, any detailed analysis of any of us should include some criticism. If you give a detailed analysis of yourself, there should be some criticisms in there that you can give yourself and say, you know what, here are some areas where I need to improve. Here are some areas that I need to work on. Here are some places where I need to work on my game. Because you're not perfect, because you're human, so I know you're not perfect. And if another person that you trust offers you some critique, there should be some criticism within it. Maybe you may take it negatively, maybe you'll take it positively. Hopefully you appreciate it at some point. But the point is, none of us is perfect, so everyone should be receiving some form of criticism from somewhere at regular periods in our lives, even if it's coming from yourself. Even if you need to source the idea from somebody else. For example, what I'm telling you right here today, I'm not talking about you personally as an individual because I don't know you, or I'm not making this directly towards you. Many people listen to the show who I know, but I'm not making this directly to be about you as a person. However, the things that I talk about here on this show, you can take these ideas, self-evaluate with what I'm saying, make them personalized towards you, and ask yourself, okay, all right, from what Dre said here today, what parts of this apply to me? What do I need to say about myself? If you bristle at every critique and or you avoid critiquing yourself because you just can't take criticism from anywhere, you can never make yourself better. You will never improve because we often can't see our own flaws. We can't see ourselves in the mirror, and we need those flaws pointed out to us by others, whether, again, it's something somebody else says that is indirect and we take it and say, you know what, that applies to me. Or it's someone just telling you directly, straight to your face. And this is a great thing about being an athlete is that we're used to this. We're used to having somebody tell us to our faces how we are messing up, how we need to do better, and they will usually do it publicly right in front of everybody. And you got to have the mental toughness to take that. So if you are brushing off every area for improvement that is shown to you, how can you ever improve? That's really a rhetorical question because you will not ever improve if everything that could possibly be an area for improvement for you, you're brushing it off as, well, that's just hate. It's just somebody being negative, or I don't need to listen to that, or I'm good. I don't need any kind of improvements anywhere. Then how will you ever improve? I'm pausing there to give you a second to think about that, but the answer is there is no answer. All right, you can't improve if you're not willing to point out to yourself that there are some areas that you need to improve. Because even if someone else points it out to you, you still have to say it to yourself. All right, no matter what I say to you, until you say it to yourself and say, you know what, damn, you know what Dre said is right. I do need to get smarter with the way that I'm using my time. You know what Dre said is right. I do need to change the way that I'm approaching these people so I can start to get their cooperation. If you don't say it to yourself, doesn't matter what I say, because you can just brush off anything that I say. What you say to you matters 100 times more than what I say to you. Now, what I say to you can help you, and I can be a resource for you, but you still have to take what I say and you got to say it to yourself for it to really have impact. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is no one is above critique. When you call for attention, you can't hang up. So if you're a person who puts yourself out there, meaning you put a product out there, a service, an offering, you put yourself out for people to see you and evaluate you and comment on you and have an opinion on you, don't get upset when, let's say there's 0 response. You know, sometimes people get upset because nobody responds to them when they put themselves out there. And then people get upset when there is a response and some of it may happen to be negative or neutral, or you take it as negative. Understand, this is part of the game. This is the shit sandwich that you have to eat. And I believe that was episode number 1665, but let me make sure. Episode 1663. Your favorite flavor of shit sandwich, episode 1663. Understand, this is part of what you got to take when you put yourself out there in life. I don't care what you're doing, sports, business, whatever, politics, you go out for a job, anything you do that other people can see what you're doing and they can say whatever they want to say, which is most of life. Now, there's a shit sandwich that you have to eat, and sometimes you're going to get criticized. Somebody may not feel what you're doing or how you're representing yourself or how you walk or the clothes you have on, and it doesn't mean that they're quote-unquote right, but they have a right to say it. And this is the shit sandwich that you have to eat. When you put yourself and your work out there, you are implicitly asking for feedback. Now, the feedback may not always be what you want it to be, but you will receive this feedback. Now, again, you can reject feedback. You don't have to internalize it, but you must accept it as part of the game that there's going to be some. And this is what I mean when I say nobody's above critique, that you are going to receive it. So don't just throw it away or be angry or react in a negative way just because someone offered you some feedback. Listen, by putting yourself out there, you asked for the feedback, even if you didn't know you were asking for it. So I'm telling you right now. So any of you who's been doing that, stop it. All right, this is what you signed up for, like it or not. Let's recap today's class, which is no one is above critique. I'm talking about this because everybody's so overly sensitive these days when it comes to both receiving and giving any type of critique, because nobody wants to say anything about anybody unless they be labeled a hater, or maybe because you're just too mentally weak to accept any type of criticism from anybody coming from anywhere. So let's talk about it. Point number one. In media these days, some reporters or journalists, and I've used those terms loosely because they're not really doing that. They're not reporting or being a journalist. They refuse to critique certain groups, or they always critique certain groups or ideas or people because they have chosen sides. It's almost uniform now. Certain outlets and certain people, you know exactly what angle they're going to take depending on the topic that they're talking about. If someone can predict what you're going to say before you put it out and you call yourself a journalist or a reporter, then you're probably not bringing much game to the game, if you understand what I'm saying. And they're not doing their jobs. They're more doing virtue signaling than actually giving objective information. And this is why all of us, now we have to do our own homework and get our own information. We can no longer trust media or the news because everybody's picking a side, because people are so sensitive that nobody can be objective because everybody's afraid of being ostracized by the group, which I explained a few days ago. Point number two, you cannot coach what you can't criticize, and you cannot be coached when you cannot be criticized. Definition of a critique is a detailed analysis and assessment of something. If anyone does a detailed analysis and assessment of you being a flawed, moral, human, not mortal, but mortal human being, there will be critiques within it because you are not perfect. Neither am I, which means all of us should be receiving some form of critique on a consistent basis from somewhere, even if it's from ourselves, even if someone else helps you figure it out. Even from yourself, you got to be able to look in the mirror and say, here's where I need to work on my game. Here's where I need to improve. Here's where my game can be a little bit better. If you're brushing off every possible critique as hate or as something that you need to ignore, how will you ever improve? Trick question, you won't. Point number three, when you call for attention, you can't hang up. In other words, in life, when you put yourself out there, which is something that we talk about here on this show, putting yourself out there boldly and authentically, not everybody's going to agree with you. Not everybody's going to be feeling you. Not everyone's going to see things the same way that you see it. People will critique you. People will bash you. People may even attack you. Understand, this is part of the game. This is part of the shit sandwich that you have to eat that I talked about in episode 1663. You do not have to internalize every critique of you and your work, but you must accept the fact that people have the right to do so because you put yourself out there and they got a right to comment on it. That is the game that you signed up for, whether you knew it or not. Now you know. Send me a text and tell me the best insight you got from today's class. My number is 305-384-6894. And if you're a type of person who wants someone who can help hold you accountable, help you understand the critiques that you're going to get, maybe even help offer you some critiques in a constructive way that will help you make the most of your game, make the most of your talent, make the most of your opportunity, make the most of this time you have here in this place called life, business-wise, professional-wise, or a mix of both, then you may be a great candidate for my 3rd-day mastermind. It is the only place that I offer direct one-on-one coaching. To get into my mastermind, you must hop on a Zoom call with me first. I vet every person that comes through, and I do not let everybody in. The way to get in is to get on that Zoom call. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. The link is down below in the description. Click on the button that says join the mastermind. Sign up, fill out the quick form. You'll schedule a Zoom call with me. And when we get on that call, I want to know what you're about. I want to know where you're at. I want to know where you're going. I want to know how I can help you get there. I want to know what challenges you're dealing with right now, what's working for you right now, and what's not. And then we'll talk about what we need to talk about as far as us working together long-term into the future. Work on your game. Dre all day.